Hey everybody, it's Giltaca with the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights, otherwise known as the CCFR. I wanted to make a really quick, rough video for you just to update you on what's going on inside the CCFR as it applies to the big, again, by order in council, gun ban last week, rolled out by the Liberal Party of Canada and all of their MPs. Don't forget that. Every MP representing every riding that they hold right now, as well as the full and unconditional support of the NDP, the Bloc Québécois, and all of their MPs, and of course the two crazy Greens running around somewhere on Parliament Hill collecting a paycheck. Just don't forget who brought this into your life. Very important. Now, I'm going to tell you why we are so busy such that I had to just make a rough video. And this stuff applies to the OIC. So here we go. Number one. If you're a follower of the CCFR, you're probably aware that we have a national television show on WOW TV. We have a bi-weekly podcast that we do. And that's something that I have to produce, and it has to be done every second week and submitted. So filmed, edited, rendered, documented, and submitted by Thursday at noon Pacific time every 2 weeks. So this is podcast and TV week. So I'm in the studio right now trying to pre-record some segments to take the edge off my workload because it's Tuesday at the end of the day. I don't have a lot of time left because I don't have Tracy Wilson because she's in court in the Federal Court of Appeals for our court case CCFR versus Canada. Now, if you remember, back in May 2020, we filed a lawsuit against the government for misusing the legal tool, the order in council, to ban a bunch of guns because that's inappropriate use of an OIC. That's not what they were meant for. And our contention was that the government didn't have the administrative authority to use an OIC to ban guns for there's a legal question in there. I'm not going to get into that now. So towards the end of May 2020, we filed a lawsuit against them. And then in return for your support, we promised you that we would make the government fight for every single inch for as long as it took and that we would never give up. We would fight them tooth and nail every step of the way. Why? Because they had it coming. They deserved it because what they did was wrong. And we did. So we filed 3 injunctions during that case. That case was almost 4 years long. We filed 3 injunctions. The first one was really expensive. It was a really big injunction. And that was the first one in line, and that was to try to preserve the ability for us to use those firearms, take them to the range while all this was getting sorted out. Because apparently it was okay to keep them in our house, but if we took them to the range, mass shootings would occur and gang shootings would occur, I guess is the idea. I'm just kind of taking that out of, whatever. That's my personal opinion, I guess, is what was going through some people's minds. But we were unsuccessful. So we filed 2 more injunctions. We cross-examined every single one of the government's witnesses. We didn't let their testimony stand. If you don't cross-examine them, what they say stands and is considered by the judge. We went there and we cross-examined every one of them. We did a legal opposition to every one of their interveners. And when we got to the end, we lost on all counts. Lost on self-defense, charter questions, and of course, the main legal question was, does the government have administrative authority to ban guns using OICs? And the decision that came from Justice Kane of the federal court seemed to be a little bit scant in its legal foundations. It was pretty much just, the government said this, you said this, I agree with the government on all counts. I'm not going to speculate on why that is, but it's just like, okay. But the legal question about the administrative authority was still sort of open. So we made that promise. So it's not really a choice anymore. We had to do it. We went to the Federal Court of Appeal, and we were granted that appeal. That appeal is happening right now. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take to get a decision out of them, whether that's 6 months or a year. I know it's not 4 years like the federal court. I mean, how absurd, but whatever. I think it's quicker. But nonetheless, if we win on appeal, the net effect would be that the order in council from May 2020 would be gone. It would be as if it never existed. It would be nullified, I guess you could say. And it's my understanding that because the Liberals used the same method in the gun ban that happened 4 days ago, really, that would be invalid as well. So that's one moving part. So that's important to remember. Now, that's not going to help us today. Probably not going to help us for the next 3 to 6 months. But nonetheless, that's something that's going on. Okay? So we're still fighting them, including today in court. Now, next thing, you don't plan for your wins. You plan for your losses. So should we lose that case, we will again take the decision that comes from the Court of Appeals and analyze it to see if that administrative question was clearly answered. If it wasn't, if that question still stands, then we will apply to the Supreme Court of Canada, just like we promised. Now, we don't control what cases the Supreme Court will hear. They determine that. So they may decide, no, we think it's satisfactorily answered and the government is completely fine in whatever they do. You never know. That could be their answer. And if that's the case, then at least we have our answer. If we win, great. If we lose, that's what we're going to do. We'll go to the Supreme Court if we have to, all the way right to the end. So I just want to let you know what's going on with that and what our plan is after that. Now, the Liberals know that despite all the gun control, in their own words, they've implemented more gun control than in a generation. And they're right. They did that. And I'm not going to say as a result, but at the same time, starting back from 2015 till where they first established their majority, Canada went from the safest in recorded history, safest it's the country's ever been, to the most dangerous it's ever been a mere 9 years later. Okay? That is not controversial. There's no debate to be had. That is objective fact. Okay? So anyway, even knowing that, even the Liberals knowing that they don't have time to collect individuals' guns before they're going to be destroyed in an election, they still decided to do this. They did it for political reasons. And they don't care that they've destroyed the futures of all of these gun owners, millions of gun owners, at least 1 million. They've destroyed the futures of gun clubs because this is devastating to gun clubs, gun stores, and everyone in between. And they're going to destroy the property held by all these Canadians so that they cannot pass them down to their kids. Like, this is serious business, okay? They know that they're not going to get these guns. They know they're not getting reelected. And they did it just to try to get some headlines, to change the channel from their multi-billion-dollar scandals, numerous scandals like that. They did it to change the channel. Like, unbelievable. So why am I bringing this up? I didn't really start this video to give you commentary. The reason I'm bringing that up is this needs to be opposed. Now, on one hand, you have people floating around, supposedly gun owners online saying, I told you this wouldn't work. You know, the court's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. You should, the Liberals going to do this all. Like, what? Am I supposed to listen to people like that? So what is your plan? The plan was what? To do absolutely nothing and to crap on anyone that stands up and steps forward to take the slings and arrows and fight these people, right? Do what I'm doing. Just shooting my mouth off online and doing nothing. Fantastic advice. I'll have to consider that next time. Unfortunately, I don't know about you, but I'm not built like that. I have to fight these people no matter what. What they did was morally wrong, and it cannot stand unopposed. So luckily, I guess, for me as an individual gun owner and us at the CCFR, a lot of people feel like that. So we're going to continue to fight these people. So all that to say, I have a document, and it is called, I call it the Master Project List. And what that is every idea that I could ever come up with to fight the government, both a malevolent government like the Liberal NDP government, to fight them on this when they are controlling the government. I have all of these, every idea I've written down. And that's where, and when I say I mean we, and also every idea I've ever heard anybody else float out there too, because I listen. And gun owners and other people at the CCFR, they float these ideas, and some of them I'm like, that's not going to work. And then some of them I'm like, and that goes right on the list. So I keep this running list. Why? Because I'll need it. Because when I'm like, okay, what's next? You know, this project is running out. You know, that's been completed. What are we going to do next? And probably, if you look at everything the CCFR has done, if you're not familiar with our organization, go to ccfr.ca, click Why Join, which is a button in the upper left-hand side of the homepage, and you'll see a list of things that we actually have done. We're talking about actual actions, not rhetoric. We're working quietly behind the scenes. We're standing up for gun owners. We will always reject liberal gun control. We're doing the heavy lifting for gun owners. Like, that rhetoric does precisely nothing for the ability of my kids to inherit my guns. It is less than worthless. In fact, I find it actually deceptive. Be judged on what you do, because that's the hard stuff to do. It takes a lot of perseverance, and a lot of hard work, and a lot of determination to actually do these projects and to take action against the government of a G7 nation, right? That takes actual work and skill and determination. So that's what you should be judged on. So anyway, all of those projects came off that list. Now, gun owners are notorious idea droppers. You know what we need? We need full page ads in newspapers. Like, yeah, no kidding. No problem. We did 68 of them. 68 full page ads over 17 newspapers across the country over a 6-month period. Like, every idea that we hear, I listen to, and if it's good, I write it down, and then we do it. Everything you've seen from the CCFR, if you look at that list, we've done probably 2/3 of that list. I got lots left. And when this whole thing rolled out last week, in between all that stuff, I squeezed in time. I don't know how I did it. I didn't sleep there for a couple of nights because it was, it's quite upsetting, right? But I looked through that list and I'm like, this, and this, times 100, because we're a bigger organization now. And I'm also counting on support from people for sure, because it costs money to do stuff. Like, that's part of it too. I just don't focus on that. But I have projects that I've earmarked, looked at how we can do them in grand scale, and I'm going to be rolling those out within the CCFR this week. And we are going to be rolling these out we're going to be working on them over the holidays and the first part of January, and basically a couple of weeks into January, all the way out through spring. We've got a couple of projects going to roll out, and they are going to be, in their scale, they're going to be shocking. Like, the Liberals are going to be shocked by what we're going to do to them, as well as the NDP, as well as the Bloc and the two crazy Greens. They're going to be shocked because we're going to be speaking to them in the only language they don't understand, right or wrong. It doesn't even register with these people. These are not like normal people. The only thing they understand is a threat to their political careers. The only thing that means anything to them is walking the halls of power, getting an MP's paycheck, and being in a position, in some cases, being in a position to perpetrate corruption against Canadians and to steal their tax money. That's as long as they can do that, and they can command a staff and whatever, because most of these people never had any of that in the private sector. Most of these people never had a real career in the private sector, and now they're the boss, right? That's the only thing that means anything to these people. So our mission is to make sure that none of those people ever get elected in the country of Canada ever again. So that's the plan. So does this stuff cost money? Yes, it does. Does it help us if you become a member or donate? Yes, it does. If you're in a position to do that, that is highly appreciated. Great. But if you can't afford that, it doesn't matter. I need something more important from you, especially for the projects that we have coming up. I need some of your time. I need thousands of people across the country to donate a few hours here or there. And I need you to do it in a sustained manner between sort of 2/3 of the way through January to sort of just in the beginning of March. So more information will be coming on that, but that's what we're going to need. Okay? So as far as what you can do right now, you can send a letter to your MP, Liberal MPs, tell them that this is the most malevolent thing that you've ever seen, and that you will do everything you possibly can within your power, and get together with other people in organizations to make sure that they never sit in the seat of power again. They never represent your riding again. If it's any of those other parties, say the same thing. If it's a conservative that you have in your riding, or a conservative candidate, make sure that you tell them that you are watching and that they follow through 100, not 100%, 110% with their promises to roll all of this stuff back because it's wrong and it doesn't help public safety. And when I say 110%, we want all that, and we want them to make Canadians safer again. We want all of the power of the federal government put onto the shoulders of criminals and lock these people away or do whatever it takes to stop the violence, because we genuinely want a safer Canada. You have to hold them to account. I hate to say that. I don't like to say that too often, but it's important, because if we're going to clean up these problems and also leave a country that is free and has some respect for their citizens behind when we're gone, because I'm not going to be around forever, then that's what it's going to have to take. It's going to take the people that are doing the wrong things to be out, and the people that take their place, they have to fulfill their promises. And that might even be a rewriting of the Firearms Act in its entirety to be aimed at public safety and not punishing people that don't do crime. I know it sounds crazy, but I come up with a lot of weird, crazy statements like that. So write some letters in the interim, get some rest over the holidays, because we are going to need you. Thanks for listening.